The 9th-ranked Nittany Lions of Penn State take the field against the #1 ranked Panthers of Pitt. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Timex, the Total Time Company. Timex, we make technology beautiful. By Memorex cassette tapes. Is it live or is it Memorex? And by new Neosinephrine 12-hour nasal spray and nose drops. Pitt Stadium is rapidly filling up, and we may have a record crowd on hand here today for this 81st renewal of this rivalry between Penn State and Pittsburgh. The weather forecaster certainly flunked out today. He was supposed to provide a 40-degree day with bright sunshine. We've had snow flurries this morning. It's rather raw and windy. Temperature down in the lower 30s. Not exactly a great day for spectating, but great for the players and great for the renewal of this rivalry. Hello, everybody. I'm Bill Fleming. You know, it's very rare to come down to the final game of the season and have the #1 ranked team in the nation playing before our ABC cameras against a team that probably it hates more than anybody else. Pittsburgh, #1 in the country against Penn State. This is not just your ordinary football game. This is for supremacy in the East, supremacy in the state of Pennsylvania, and perhaps even the nation. A little bit later on, you're going to be hearing from Darrell Royal, our expert. He'll be telling you about both of these teams, specifically talking about Pittsburgh and their great passer, Dan Marino, who has clicked along for 260 yards per game, and the great Pitt defense, which has allowed opponents rushing only 51 yards per game. We'll also be telling you about Penn State with some great slashing running of 252 yards a game. So it really is one of those classic confrontations that we'll be seeing here today. There's another big story in college football, and you'll be witnessing that. The Alabama-Auburn game. Alabama wins that. They have a co-championship of the SEC, but more importantly, victory number 315, an all-time record for Coach Paul Bear Bryant. It's within his grasp. After our commercial message, we'll be going back to New York for a little bit closer look at the story of the Bear.
Ago when Alabama beat Penn State, and that achievement set the stage for what we may see today. That was Paul Bryant's 314th coaching victory, tying him with Amos Alonzo Stagg. That's one of those records you thought would never be equaled. After all, Stagg coached 57 years. Bryant could wipe out that record in 20 fewer seasons.
Time in the last 6 games, but one of these two teams coming into the so-called Pennsylvania Bowl has been ranked #1 in the nation. Think back, 1978, Penn State came in here, ranked #1, and they left #1 because they won the game by the score of 17-10, although they did go on and lose the national championship in the Sugar Bowl to Alabama. Well, Penn State can't be #1 this year, although they were ranked that way during the season before the loss to Miami. They certainly can have a lot to say about who will be #1, and they would like nothing better than to prevent their arch rivals from Pittsburgh gaining that top spot on the ladder. For Pittsburgh, well, they like to think back to 1976. Remember that, when they were led by Heisman Trophy winner Tony Dorsett? They were #1 coming into this game, and they left #1 because they won the game by the score of 24-7. And then they went on to the Sugar Bowl. Dorsett simply ran wild against the Georgia Bulldogs. The Heisman Trophy winner was all over the field that day, and Pitt won the game 27-3, winning all kinds of glory for their coach, Johnny Majors, and for their team, the Panthers, the national champions. This year, the hero of Pittsburgh is a junior quarterback by the name of Dan Marino. He has been the heart of the Panther offense. He has some of the top receivers in the nation to throw to, specifically number 80 split end Julius Dawkins. He leads the team in scoring with 15 touchdowns, and that's tops in the country. Marino's ability to read the defense is what makes him a great quarterback, not just a thrower. Here he picks up the corner blitz, lobs the ball perfectly to Dawkins, another quick 6 for Pitt. Coach Jackie Sherrill played with both Joe Namath and Ken Stabler at Alabama, and he has said that Marino is farther along at this stage in his career than either of those former collegiate greats.
Danny Marino is right now further advanced than any of them. His stature, he's 6'4 3/4, 216, runs a 4.7, but his arm is unreal. But the amenities, he can get the ball to the receivers, and when you move the dots in the secondary, he knows where the dots are, and his ability to go to the 4th, 5th, and the receiver, and even when you chase him out of the pocket, he still knows in the back of his head where that receiver is, and he can stop and throw the ball all the way across the field and hit the receiver. And that's something you don't find in college football, his ability to check off at the line of scrimmage, to read the defenses. And a lot of people come up and give you a lot of corner fires or safety blitz, and that's something I really encourage or like to see against Danny, because he knows what to do, and he can pick you to death when you do it.
Marino himself is an outstanding leader. He's confident, likable, and very candid. We talked to him about his team after observing practice yesterday. The observation we make, Dan, is that the team is extremely loose coming into this final game.
I don't think we're loose. That's the attitude we've had all year. We know what we have to do. We have a mature football team. We just have to go out and play with the intensity that we've played with all year. And really, the coaches don't have to say anything to get the players fired up for this type of game, because it's a big rivalry game, and it's the most important game of most of the players' lives.
Certainly this is the most important game in the career of Panther quarterback Dan Marino, who grew up just 10 minutes walking distance from the Pitt Stadium. Back for a final word in a moment. Game ranked 9th in the UPI poll and 11th in the AP. The record 8-2 on the season, losses to Miami and to Alabama, but with victories over Nebraska and Notre Dame. Pitt is ranked #1 in the nation in both polls, although it must be said, with a schedule not as strong as Penn State's. Nevertheless, the Panthers are still one of 2 teams in the nation with a perfect record, and they hope to keep it that way today. Be sure to stay tuned now for NCAA college football. The #9 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions against the #1 ranked Pitt Panthers after a word from our local stations. NCAA college football today from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's the 9th-ranked Nittany Lions of Penn State against the #1-ranked Panthers of Pitt. On one side of the field will be Coach Joe Paterno of Penn State, who has college football's top winning percentage during the past 10 years. His opponent, Jackie Sherrill, who is celebrating his 38th birthday today. His Panthers are #1 in the nation and have the nation's longest winning streak, 17 in a row. This will be a record crowd today because 3,000 extra seats have been brought into Pitt Stadium. We could have 60,000 fans on hand. A record crowd, I say, since the end of World War II. There was a time back in 1938 when 68,000 people crammed their way here to watch a game between Pitt and Fordham. How they did it, I'll never know. But they will have about 60,000 for this 81st meeting between these 2 teams. The Panthers are out on the field. The team captains are out for Penn State, but the Penn State team has not made its appearance as yet. This ABC Sports Exclusive is being brought to you by Chevrolet, who invite you to see all the good things for 1982 at your local Chevy dealers. Chevy makes good things happen. By Panasonic, just slightly ahead of our time. By the Honda ATC 3-wheeler. See the new 82 models today at your Honda motorcycle dealer. And by Goodyear, makers of Arriva. Even its footprint tells you it's different. This is really one of the oldest and I think one of the closest rivalries in major college football. Can you believe they've been playing since 1893, and if Pittsburgh wins today, it'll all be tied 39-39 and 3. Well, Pitt won last year and the year before, and they're going for their 3rd straight over the Lions, and that's never happened to a Joe Paterno coach team while he's been at Penn State. Nobody's ever beaten him 3 in a row. He has still not had his team come out onto the field as yet, so perhaps a little bit of psychology at work here. Here they come, and listen to the roar. As you can hear, the crowd is pretty well split, and there's Joe Paterno. Do you think he isn't fired up for this game in his 16th year as the head coach of the Nittany Lions? He won 10 in a row But then things began to happen. He has lost 3 of the last 5. So Joe Paterno indeed is fired up for this one. And so is my colleague today, Darrell Royal, former great coach of the Texas Longhorns, who when he was there for 20 years won 11 Southwest Conference championships, 6 in a row, and 3 national titles. He knows what it's like in the stomachs of these coaches.
Well, Joe, Bill, you were talking about the overall series being tight, but let's look at the record since Joe Paterno became head coach at Pitt State University. The first 10 years, he won all games against Pittsburgh. He was king of the hill. He was the boss of Pennsylvania. And then 5 years ago, something happened at the University of Pittsburgh. The program started to turn around when Johnny Majors and Jackie Sherrill came to town. And in that 5 years, Pittsburgh has won 3 of the 5 games. They've won the last 2 games in a row. Now, Joe Paterno has got to be bothered by this. It's got to upset him that people come in and are taking some of his territory. He's been back spending a little bit of each day thinking about the Pitt Panthers. He's been in the corner sucking his thumb, working up a mad and getting his game face on. He's a proud man. He's a competitive man. You can bet that he will have his team sharp and ready to play. Jackie Sherrill, on the other hand, a bright young coach, fast establishing himself among the premier coaches in college coaching. Well, he's a little bit upset out of remarks that are coming from the Penn State campus, say that the Pitt Panthers play a soft schedule. What I'm saying is there ain't no love lost between these two people.
Okay, we'll be back then for the kickoff. This one between Penn State and Pitt, right after this message. You think these fans aren't ready for this one? This is Pennsylvania Madness. That's the Pitt section, and here's the kick as Penn State on the toss will receive. Schubert booting it down deep into the end zone. It's taken there and down by Kevin Bow. And that means it'll be 1st and 10 for the Nittany Lions. They'll take over on offense. Quarterback Todd Blackledge has 10 touchdowns to his credit. Tom Barr starting at fullback in place of Mike Meade. John Williams starting in place of Kurt Warner, although we will see him. Kenny Jackson leading the receiving corps with touchdowns, and Greg Garrity the split end. He has over 400 yards in catches this year, and he can really drive it crazy with his quick move. So we'll keep our eye on him. 1st and 10 for the Nittany Lions, getting the opening kickoff on their own 20-yard line. Blackledge hands the ball off to John Williams, and he is swarmed on by the middle of the line. Michael Woods, number 96, and Rick Cranack, number 55, in to bring him down. The offensive line of Penn State tackle Bill Conson, then Mike Munchak, guard. Jim Romano at center, a 4-year letter winner. How about this guy? He was just named to one of the All-America squads this past day, Sean Farrell. And, of course, Vito Cab is a very important man, back for the first time in 5 games as the tight end, recovering from injuries. No gain on the first one. It's 2nd and 10. Blackledge on the audible at the line, takes it on the rollout, and is battered to the ground at the 21-yard line by Al Wenglakowski, the defensive end, number 6, and Rick Cranack, number 55. No deception there. And also there is Mike Woods in on the play. Wenglakowski, Kazuli, Calusi, Moss, and Woods. Defensively, along with Sunseri and Cranack, a couple of great linebackers, with Pappy Thomas, Lewis Short, and Flynn as the patrollers of the deep lanes. So far, it has been just about a foot advanced in 2 downs for the Nittany Lions. And they're going to take a timeout as Blackledge, if you look at his stats, goes over to the sidelines, and he's limping a little bit. He was injured in really the final moments of the game last week against Notre Dame. He's had a gimpy ankle all week long, and I'm wondering now, as he talks to Joe Paterno, Darrell Royal, whether it's now starting to bother him.
Well, I don't know. He did limp rather noticeably as he left the huddle, but he seemed to start to walk a little bit more smoothly as he got closer to Coach Paterno, and he waved his hands as if to say, "I'm okay, Coach. I'm okay. I just need to talk to you for a little information." He's moving okay now.
Last week he scored the winning touchdown against Notre Dame on a quarterback sneak. Really is a very important cog in this machinery. 6'4", has good height, good range. I guess really the only criticism, if you could make it, is that he has not been able so far this year to hit the secondary receivers. He looks at the primary man and has been good on that side.
Well, I don't think they spend quite as much time passing the ball as they do here at the University of Pittsburgh. They probably don't spend as much time working on those secondary receivers as they do here at Pitt.
3rd down Just about 9.5 yards to go for the Nittany Lions. We've begun the first quarter of play here. It's cold, it's overcast, snow flurries in the air. It really wasn't supposed to be this way. But after all, the last Saturday in November, what can you expect in Pittsburgh? Here's Blackledge, fakes the short one, fires it. He's got his man, Kenny Jackson, but he did not. Did he get it? Yep. At the just short of the 30. No, he said no. One official says it was not complete. And the Pitt fans roar with joy. It brings up a 4th down. Now, Camilo will come into the lineup to do the punting. Tom Flynn, the single safety man. Let's take a look at this again.
He had good protection, and he drilled the ball in low where he has to throw it for this type of completion. It's really hard to tell whether or not the ball was caught from our angle on the camera.
Here's Giacomero back. 43.8 yards per kick. It's a wobbly spinning kick taken by Troy Hill. He fair catches it at the 48-yard line. And the Panthers of Pitt will go to work with very good field position, just 2 yards short of midfield when we return. The Panthers will get the ball offensively now. 1st and 10, no score, first quarter. Penn State couldn't gain in 3 downs, kicked the ball away. Here's a good look at Dan Marino, junior quarterback out of Central Catholic High School right here in Pittsburgh. That's Compton in motion as Marino goes to the air on the first one, swings the pass out to the right. He's got Brian Thomas over midfield. He is hit by Rich D'Amico at the 48-yard line. 5 yards on the play, and I imagine, Coach Roy, we're going to see a lot of that today.
So they'll throw those backs out of the backfield. They try to let the primary receivers drive the secondary deep and then dump it off to a man out of the backfield, which they just did. And D'Amico would have none of it. He was out there to defend the play pretty well. At least stopped it for about a 4-yard gain.
Strange enough, D'Amico played also at Central Catholic High School, which has been a great producer of college players. He's on the other side of the line today. There's a marker down as Brian Thomas is knocked down by Leo Wisniewski, number 69, defensive tackle. But the markers went down very, very quickly. Procedure penalty against the Panthers, and Jackie Sherrill doesn't like that one bit. Offensively, we go with quarterback Dan Marino, a junior who's Pitt's all-time leading passer, number 1 in passing efficiency in the nation. Wayne DiBartola is a senior, an excellent blocker, gets the tough yard. Brian Thomas, leading rusher, needs only 32 to go over 1,000 yards, and Barry Compton will be in there, and also Dwight Collins. Julius Dawkins, as I mentioned earlier, leads the nation in touchdown passes with 15. Dwight Collins and Compton will share the role today as the flanker. 2nd down and 11. Marino still has his man to his left, and fires it right down the middle. John Brown, the tight end, catches the ball at the 39-yard line. It's Dawkins, not Brown, the split end. And Fritz made the stop on it. Look how open Dawkins was.
Anytime you give receivers this long to roam around, they're going to find a good spot. Those good receivers watch him position himself right between the 2 defensive people, and that's all Danny Marino needs. He can drill that ball when he has an open receiver. Time to throw like that.
First down on the 39-yard line. Little handoff inside to Wayne DiBartola. He grinds it forward as Leo Wisniewski and Rich D'Amico bring him down on the 33-yard line. Offensively, Jimbo Covert, 279. Theta, National Honor Society student from Ohio. Emil Boris, great center, could well be the best in the country. Ron Sams missed the Temple game last week, but back. Bill Fralick, 270-pound freshman. And John Brown, the converted flanker to tight end this year, up from 208 to 222. They said they'd like to have him about 252. 2nd down, 4. Brian Thomas finds a little bit of a hole. May have gotten up close to the first down. Hamilton and Wisniewski in on the stop. Defensively, we've got D'Amico, Wisniewski, Ofa, and Walker Lee Ashley. Bradley, Fritz, and Parlavecchio joining a great tradition of Penn State linebackers with Langford, Jackson, Hamilton, and Robinson in that 4-3-4. First down for the Panthers, moving the ball as White Collins has gone in at flanker for Barry Compton. Down the middle, it is caught. Touchdown. White Collins, who has just got in the ball game, caught a rifle shot on the goal line, and it is a quick 6 points for the Panthers. Fans here go absolutely berserk.
You know, this is a tremendous combination with Marino throwing and Collins catching. Collins has been averaging 1 out of every 3 passes he catches is for a touchdown, and he certainly didn't hurt the average on that. It was a post route that Marino had directly in the numbers, and it was good for the touchdown.
And Snuffy Ever adds the extra point with 10 minutes and 57 seconds to go in this first quarter. The Pitt Panthers take the ball in their first possession, move it down 52 yards, they score. Only 2 minutes and 40 seconds once they got the football to score. Eric Schubert moving up on it. Kick goes angling over to the far side. Harry Hamilton up to the 22, 23, spun around at about the 24-yard line. That was Troy Hill raising his arms in the air for the tackle. There it is, 5 plays, 53 yards, and a beautiful pass from Marino to Collins. And what a whip-like arm Dan Marino has showed us this season.
Well, you know, he gets such excellent protection because they do have a good running game. Williams has really run the ball well the last couple of weeks, and you can see what tremendous protection he had, and that's all he needs. Collins is a tremendous receiver.
Kurt Warner and Mike Meade now are in the backfield. Meade was injured a little bit earlier in the week, did not work out very much. Kurt Warner still recovering from a hamstring. They fake the ball to him, and there goes Michael Woods right in on top of the quarterback. Michael Woods leads the team in sacks. That is number 13 on the season for him. A junior out of Natchez, Mississippi. Come on, let's go, says Joe. Doggone it, guys. You've done that a few times, Coach.
I'm telling you, this Woods is an extremely active defensive end, and he puts a lot of rush on Blackledge, gets him before he can get the ball away. Woods, you'll see a lot more of him today.
Hand off to Kurt Warner. Tries to slash through, but is snagged by Rick Krenak, number 55. Kurt still has the, you know, I think a hamstring muscle may be one of the most aggravating injuries that a fellow can have.
Once you get a hamstring, it takes about 6 weeks before you're back full speed again. It has not been 6 weeks for Warner. Plus a cold day like today, they just have an extremely hard time getting it loosened up.
Isn't it remarkable, though, that he has missed 2 games completely and still has 940 yards to his credit. Third down and 13. The Nittany Lions are trailing 7-0 here in the first quarter against the #1 ranked Panthers. There goes the screen, and it's bobbled by Warner, incomplete. Pass was thrown just a little bit low. Michael Woods, however, was right there on his back. 9:27 to go, first quarter, and once again, the Lions are going to have to kick the ball away. Giacomo has gone in. His first kick was 32 yards. Kicking against a pretty strong 15 to 20 mile an hour wind. There's plenty of time to get this one away. High kick coming down to Tom Flynn. Fair catches it at the 35 or 36 yard line. And so the Panthers will start from there. I can't tell you what really a thrill it is to come here and see and feel the enthusiasm of this crowd, really from both sides. They came early this morning for this game, and they've been out there whooping and hollering, and of course right now all of the hollering has been done on the Panther side.
I was up at 6 o'clock in the lobby this morning, and there were people roaming all around there, hooping and hollering and ready to go right then.
I think you were too.
I was.
First and 10 on the 35-yard line. Panthers leading 7-0. Marino spirals it over the head of the intended receiver, Barry Compton. You can see that Marino's trying to keep his hands warm. It is a rather raw day. Boy, he's got great size. You know, he's 6'5", and he's 217 pounds.
Strong. I believe that was a throwaway pass intentionally. You know, Hamilton had him pretty well covered, and he knew if he underthrew it any at all, it was a dangerous thing to do. So I think he just sailed it right on over his head. I think that was an intentional incompletion.
2nd and 10 for the Panthers, who are out in front in this first quarter with barely 6 minutes gone by. Nice hole for Wayne DiBartolo. Opens up, and Rich D'Amico brings him down, but he picks up 12 very quick yards. DiBartolo, senior, from right here in Pittsburgh.
Well, they had 4 receivers flanked out, 2 to each side, and that really has a defense spread, which opens up the hole for DiBartolo.
And Bill Frelick didn't do a bad job. Number 79, that big freshman.
I guarantee you he blocked them out of there.
That's the 4th. First down for Pitt. Notice how Marino looks over that defense. Uh-oh, somebody broke on the right side. John Brown, the tight end, made contact with the opposing player. But I was mentioning that Marino looks over that defense. It's really uncanny the way he has that peripheral vision.
Well, he only lives about 5 blocks from Pitt Stadium, so he has grown up with football, watching football all of his life here in Pittsburgh, and he's wanted to be a quarterback.
Illegal procedure, offense, first down.
It's one of the great gifts, I guess, that you really can't teach, but he's able to assimilate that material very quickly in his head, and he knows exactly what to do, where the play should go, but that one didn't go anywhere. DiBartolo wrestled to the ground by Chet Parlavecchio, number 94, and Matt Bradley, number 86. Brings up 2nd and about same to go, 15, barely got a foot. Panthers lead 7-0 in case you just joined us. Moved crisply down the field after getting their first possession. Took them 5 plays, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And the scoring play was a 28-yarder. A rifle shot off the arm of Marino to Dwight Collins. That's the way it stands right now as Pitt has a 2nd and 15. Marino again spirals a beauty. It's caught. John Brown, the tight end. Mark Robinson was right on him. And once more, the needle is thread 30 yards down the field to the receiver right on target.
Well, he had 2 wideouts again, and he read the defense, looked at the coverage, set, and threw the ball perfectly to John Brown for the completion. Another big first down.
32 yards on that.
Here's another look at it, and it's just a straight down the alley pass. It's straight down pass. He put no kind of moves on at all, but they had the defense so spread out that they couldn't cover the entire area with those 4 receivers.
First down on the 23-yard line. Marino was 4 out of 5 for 79 yards. And now he's calling a timeout. And he walks over to the bench, and he'll be talking now to Jack Sherrill in his traditional yellow coat on the sidelines. Back Marino so far, 79 yards. We're just 7.5 minutes into this game. He's already thrown for 1 touchdown. 1st and 10 on the 23 of Penn State. The number 1 ranked Panthers on the attack and leading. Goes to Brian Thomas. Not much there as Neil Wisniewski, number 69, puts the stop on. Just inside the 20-yard line. Brian Thomas having a fine year this year. Former great hockey player in high school. That's a pretty good graphic look at what's been happening so far between these 2 teams in the season of '81. We'll take another look at the rushing defense of Pitt, but right now it's the offense really moving the football as Bradley has to make the stop on DiBartolo, and it is inside the 15-yard line. Probably measure here. DiBartolo gets you the tough yards. I'll tell you, he's a good, solid blocker. He called on, doesn't bump.
Look at his thighs, Bill. There's some power in those thighs. He's a sharp fella, kind of a square build. Got a lot of strength.
Going to bring the chain in to measure. We have 6 minutes, 35 seconds to go in the first quarter from Pitt Stadium on a cold, raw November day. But I'll tell you one thing, the Panthers came out fired up. They kicked off to Penn State. Penn State couldn't move, and once the Panthers got the ball, only took them 5 plays. Jackie Sherrill talking to Marino. Look how big Marino is. You know, Sherrill's no little guy.
Marino is just absolutely awesome, but you've got to go ahead and give some credit to Covert, Fada, Boris, Sams, and Fralick. They are giving him a lot of time, and then when DeBartola and Thomas run the football, they're having some good running room in there. That offensive front is blocking extremely well for the Panthers.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about the Panthers. Think ahead to 82. Actually, Jackie Sherrill thought 82 was going to be the year. He really didn't think that 81 would be. And Darrell, when you talked to him yesterday, he just, when you asked him about it, he just shook his head. Said, I don't know, it's a mystery to me. There's Marino wedging it in. It was just inches short of the first down. So on the third down and inches, Marino picks up the first down at about the 12-yard line.
Bill, along that line, they only have 2 seniors on defense. They only have 2 seniors on offense. So the most of this team is returning next year.
In first downs, Pitt now has 6. Penn State none. Penn State has a -2 yards total offense. Pitt 107. First down on the 12-yard line for the Panthers. All this time, Marino transmitting information, looking over the defense, getting it set in his mind. Throws the swing pass to DeBartola, and he gets absolutely nothing. Wisniewski and Gattuso. Boy, Gattuso, number 70, really had an astounding game against Notre Dame last week. He was the fellow that came up with that big interception.
It wasn't just your ordinary interception either. It was a diving, one-handed stab that Gattuso came up with.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing, it really doesn't show on there that they get 98 points in the first quarter. Really getting in the jump, and they certainly did today. 5.5 minutes to go. In this first quarter, they lead by the score of 7-0. DeBartola is spun to the ground at the 8-yard line by Ed Fritz, number 61, and number 69 is Leo Wisniewski.
Stop, babe, number 61.
Paterno just with a light sweater on the far side of the field. Looks concerned, doesn't he, Darrell?
He has every right to be.
Third down. Third and about 7 yards to go for the Panthers. Inside the 10 of Penn State. They lead 7-0. Marino looks. Quick throw. He's got it for a touchdown. Had to wait for the official to signal that Dwight Collins had caught it inbounds. He was very close to the end line, but he made the grab fairly inbounds. What a play and what a pass.
Dwight Collins catches another touchdown pass. As I said, he was averaging 1 out of every 3 that he catches is a touchdown, and he's upped his average from that. This was a tremendous catch. He was just barely inside the end line.
And the kick by Snuffy Everett is good. And so it is 4:47 to go in the first quarter, and the Panthers have left no doubt in anybody's mind, at least at this stage of the game, that they are indeed the #1 college football team in America.
I don't think at this point anyone could argue with that, Bill.
They simply have been a confident, powerful, inventive team, and they're led by Marino and these 2 touchdown passes to Collins. I don't know how you're going to stop them. There's, I believe it's Marino, isn't it? Yep, number 13 on his headgear.
It's got to be Marino. Look at all those patches on his headgear. Dwight Collins sprints for the end zone, and as I said, his feet were just barely in bounds. He jumps high to get the ball, but he did have both feet in bounds. He only needed one. It's a touchdown pass.
And here's the boot. Schubert booting it off. Taken there by Kevin Bow. Oh, he just doesn't get much as all dark blue jerseys on top of him. Number 38 there was the first one down. That was Becker on the special team. So the Nittany Lions will really have to go to work now, and they have not had good field position, really. This is their 3rd possession, and not much to show for it as yet. And don't forget, after this game, Well, it'll be that clash between Auburn and Alabama. Another one of those no love lost contests. Blackledge looks over both sides. The defense scrambles in and out, trying to confuse the offense. It does. Don Barr, the fullback, runs into a stone wall in the middle of the line. Bill Moss at 250. J.C. Pelusi at 251. Dave Pazzulli at 248, right in the granite center. That's a look at the second touchdown to Collins. The first one was 28 yards. Second down. A little more than 10 for the Nittany Lions. Blackledge swings it off to John Williams. He gets it up to about the 25 and is really belted. Michael Woods, Pappy Thomas, Dave Pazzulli. 96, 9, and 63. You know, Darrell, you've been a close friend of Bear Bryant for all these many, many years and have had many conversations with him. I'm sure you can transmit to us what he must be feeling.
Oh, he's an unusual man. I have all the respect in the world for him. I think he's the greatest football coach of all time.
Third down, about 3. Nittany Lions desperately trying to get on track offensively. Blackledge with heat. Goes down. Al Wenglikowski on his tail. Dan Short coming up. And it'll be another 4th down, as the Lions have been absolutely helpless today on offense against this defense of the Panthers. And when the Panthers have gotten the ball offensively, they've been unstoppable.
Well, you know, that was supposed to be one of the big matchups with Farrell, Romano, and Munchak in there blocking against the defense of Penn State. And so far, they haven't been able to knock them out of there.
Giacomello is back in punt formation. 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go in the first quarter from Pitt Stadium. Giacomello gets a beautiful kick away. Tom Flynn is backed up to the 20-yard line almost. Tom Flynn, a former high school quarterback, been a very reliable deep safety man, gets his nose on the 32. Al Harris, number 88, brings him down. And once again, the Panthers will go to work. I think really the point that Darrell Royal ought to expand on just a little bit more. We didn't really have a whole lot of time to talk about strength of schedules at the beginning of this game, but that was one thing that everybody wondered about.
Well, you know, there have been quite a few remarks made about Pitt's schedule, but I can tell you this: if anyone happens to think that they're a soft touch, just jump on their schedule. These guys can play. You talk about talent. Now they have a core of receivers like I have never seen before. Dwight Dawkins, Collins, Julius Dawkins, rather, Dwight Collins, Brown, Compton, and a guy that can evermore hum that football.
They are attending to a Penn State player on the field, and we have not been able to identify him yet because he's lying on his back facing us, and the 2 or 3 trainers around him have completely blocked us off. When play is resumed, it'll be 1st and 10 for the Panthers at the 31.5-yard line. It's number 57 of Penn State, Kirk Bauman, defensive end from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. And it looks like he may have just gotten a muscle cramp in that left leg. I hope it's nothing more serious. During this period, Marino takes every opportunity to come over to the bench, talk to the coaching staff, get things set. I don't believe I have met this year a more confident young man, a better spoken player, one who really has the entire team right in his fist.
You know, Coach Sherrill said before the ball game he thought at this stage he was ahead of Stabler, Namath. He has thrown out
Sloan,
some great
Hunter.
names.
Right. Look how tall he is. You see that? That's one great advantage he's got, too. He looks over all those big linemen. He can see where the corner men are. He sees where the backers are. He can pick out the lanes. And he's already thrown for 2 touchdowns today. 6 out of 7. And really, the one that was the miss was simply lobbed out of bounds because he saw the coverage was good. Bauman going out of the lineup. And here come the Panthers up to the line. 1st and 10, just over the 31-yard line in their own territory. First quarter, 2:30 to go. And the Panthers are out in front by the score of 14-0 over Penn State. DiBartolo puts his head down and rams into Parlavecchio. And Pritz, Ed Pritz, P-R-Y-T-S, a senior from Brookfield, Ohio, joining a long list of memorable linebackers at Penn State. Can you believe that so far? Penn State ranked 9th in one poll, 11th in the other, and a -1 yard against the #1 ranked Panthers. Marino with a 2nd down and 6 at the 35. Beauty right over the center to Julius Dawkins, and Dawkins gets it down inside the 45-yard line. Roger Jackson and Mark Robinson making the stop on the play. 21 yards, and it just seems to be that Marino can fire at will.
I've seen a lot of guys that have strong arms before, but they haven't had the touch that this guy has. He can throw the ball hard, and he can throw it soft. He throws whatever kind of pass is called for. That pass was called to lob it over Pritz, who was right in line of his receiver, but he just lobbed it over his head right in there to Dawkins.
I might add that that offensive line is giving him tremendous protection. He's had no pressure whatsoever. 1st and 10. Swings it out to the outside to Brian Thomas. He's spilled on the 42-yard line, a gain of a couple of yards on the play. Good defensive move by Leo Wisniewski. 2nd and about 8. 1 minute and 5 seconds to go in the first quarter. The Panthers out in front by the score of 14-0 on the benefit of the strong arm of Dan Marino. 2 touchdown passes to Dwight Collins. Dwight did not start today's game. He's been having some ankle problems, but he came in to score the TDs. That's the Marino family right there. Mother Veronica, Father Dan, and sister. I think maybe Grandma's there today too. 2nd and 8. Completed it. John Brown, the tight end, just slides down that sideline toward the 1st down marker.
Number 89.
Well, it's a marvelous family, I'll tell you that. They certainly have kept Dan from ever getting any idea that he's the hero of the family. He brought his laundry home the other day, and they wanted to said, "I'd like you to do my laundry." So his father said, "Well, listen, big fella, you can do your own laundry."
He said, "Mom, I had so much pressure this week. I've had to go here, I've had to go there with this Penn State game coming up." His dad said, "Son, you don't know what pressure is till you try to feed 5 kids and things not going too well." He said, "That's pressure." He said, "Go do your own one." It takes a dad to put you in your place sometime.
Clock moving, just 15 seconds to go in this first quarter. And the Panthers have shocked the Nittany Lions so far. 1st and 10 on the 34-yard line. Brian Thomas. Hard tackle there by Roger Jackson, number 49, who slowed him up. And the time runs out of this first quarter. Listen to this roar that erupts from this side of the field as the Panthers are out in front of their arch rivals from State College, PA. So at the end of the first quarter, it's 14-0. Top-rated Pitt in front. Heaters going on the sidelines here today. The temperature in the low 30s. We had some snow flurries, and it looked like it might be one of those nasty days, but the ceiling is raised a little bit, and the snow flurries have stopped, but it's still raw and windy. 2nd down and 8. Beginning of the second quarter. The Panthers in front. Marino on a straight drop back. Look at that protection. Throws a long one deep into the end zone. It is caught out of the field of play. No, he caught it inbounds. A great interception. Roger Jackson made an over-the-shoulder catch that was almost impossible.
It was a leaping catch that right at the end zone line. I think Marino intended to throw that ball away, and he didn't throw it quite far enough.
Wind may have caught it just a little bit. It's a stiff wind he was throwing against. That's only his 5th interception of the year.
It looked like as Jackson dove for the ball that both feet left the ground. Just as he caught the ball, both feet were off the ground, and he landed out of bounds. His feet were not in bounds, in my opinion. I didn't think it was a legit interception.
1st and 10 for Penn State as Blackledge goes back. This time he's got some protection and rifles it off to Warner at the sideline at the 32-yard line. Tim Lewis making the stop. Well, maybe one thing we couldn't see from the end zone was really where his foot came down. I think the only angle we maybe could have seen it from would be from the side, Darrell.
It looked to me like the first thing to hit was his shoulders and his headgear. I think his feet were still up in the air when contact was made with his shoulder pad out of the end zone.
Well, that's what happened in the first quarter. That's the first down for Penn State today. Warner on a little bit of a counter play, gets it up to about the 34-yard line. Kurt Warner, 940 yards coming into this game. That's a good look at what happened in the first half, and the total yards tells you the story for Penn State. We've got that just the opposite. It's Pitt with 143 yards and Penn State with a -1. Second down and 8. Fake handoff. Blackledge rifles it right into the midsection of his receiver, Kenny Jackson, and they're going to give him credit for the reception. Pappy Thomas right on his back.
He's a little guy that can fly too. Kenny Jackson, number 82, has a brother, Roger Jackson, number 49, right there.
Roger just came up with a great catch of his own, an interception in the end zone. Kenny, by the way, played high school in South River, New Jersey with Troy Hill, who's one of the outstanding defenders.
Pass interference. Refuse.
Zoll puts the ball on the 44-yard line. First down. The Nittany Lions now have started to move the football, getting some inspiration from that interception in the end zone. They're trailing 14-0. 13:45 to go in the second quarter from the Pitt Stadium, built in 1925, scene of many historic battles. There's going to be an offside as the defensive end did not get back in time for Pitt. Dolman, whoever it was, I don't believe he made it. Right on the marker. Yep. So it'll be a 1st and 5. Blackledge being talked to. There's Kurt Warner walking around. He said, "I'm ready to go today, Coach. I've got to play in this game. I don't care what happens." Well, he's had a very able replacement, I might add, in John Williams, who was really sensational last week in that final drive against Notre Dame.
Offsides, defense, first down.
Penn State has not been in Panther territory today, but they're only a yard and the length of a football away from it right now. They're trailing 14-0 in the second period. Blackledge takes the draw, has the time, spirals a deep one. He's got a man down there. It is incomplete. Incomplete to Kenny Jackson, who thought, I guess, that he was interfered with.
Oh, I think he was just upset that the ball wasn't about 2 yards longer. If it had been, I think he had the defenders beat. He drove just on the fly route, and Blackledge turned it loose. I don't think there was any interference on the play.
Well, I don't know. Arm might have been hit there, but whatever it is, it's 2nd down and 5, and it's still short of midfield for the Nittany Lions. That's ball in motion. Kurt Warner on the deep pitch, out of bounds. Pappy Thomas wrestled him out, and he may get a face mask here. Sanseri also in on the stop. I saw the penalty marker go down right at the 45-yard line. That's it. Isn't it strange how the momentum in a football game can change just with that one interception down there in the end zone, and boom, all of a sudden, here is a team that's been lying dormant, literally, and now with this penalty, we're going to move deeper into Panther territory.
Well, Penn State's an outstanding football team, and you don't expect them to be shut out the entire day. Now, that was early.
Face mask, defense.
But they certainly have it on the move now.
First down on the 32-yard line. Goes to Warner. corner, tries to slide through, but there is really nothing there. As number 52, J.C. Pelusi of Youngstown, Ohio, and Al Wenglakowski bring him down. There are a few wet spots on this artificial turf here, and it may be that there is a certain unevenness in the footing there. I noticed in the warm-up drill, some of the guys were having a bit of a problem. See how it's kind of splotchy there?
All the dark spots that you see on the TV screen are wet. Not real wet, but slightly damp.
2nd down and 8. The ball outside the 30-yard line. Blackledge makes the draw, is hit hard by Flynn, but throws it complete to Mike McCluskey, number 81, and he's got it down very close and short, and Cappy Thomas made the stop. They had the safety blitz on, and Flynn almost got to Blackledge, and McCluskey came down with a football.
Well, we've been talking about Marino. Let's say something nice about Blackledge, because he was under pressure when he threw that ball, and he stood in there and took his lick, threw the ball on over to Mike McCluskey for a huge interception down inside the 5-yard line.
You mean reception, Coach, not interception.
Did I say interception?
Burt Warner is in, so is Williams, so is Meade. That's Meade blasting it up and in. Touchdown for Penn State. And the blue and white section of Pitt Stadium goes crazy on the far side of the field.
Bill, I can't help it if I get a little bit excited. This is an exciting football game. They take it and drive it right back 80 yards, and they're back in this football game again with a great reception.
Brian Franco is in to try the extra point. He's 30 out of 31 this year. The big scoreboard says drat. 11:55 to go in the second quarter. Franco puts it up. It is now a 14-7 ball game. And so the Nittany Lions scoring here on that shot by Meade after the fine reception by McCluskey, and they are very much back in this contest. On the sidelines, whose reception down the middle set up the touchdown. But of course, let's also talk in terms of Roger Jackson's interception in the end zone that led to that 80-yard drive. Franco booting it off. Up comes Timmy Lewis to about the 17-yard line. Now, that 80-yard drive was triggered by Roger Jackson's interception. We've seen it from one angle, which is in the end zone. I wonder if we could take a look at it one more time and see.
Roger Jackson, number 49, running under the pass there. It hits in his hands, and his knee did touch the ground, and I stand corrected, Mr. Official, as right, you're right, I'm wrong.
So it was a clean interception by Roger Jackson. It certainly catapulted the Nittany Lions into an 80-yard scoring drive, and it's a 14-7 ball game. Marino back on his 8. Cool throws it to Julius Dawkins at the 40-yard line, and Jackson decks him right there. Hey, this kid is something.
Strong. Dawkins has caught 15 touchdown passes. Can you believe that, Bill? 15 touchdown passes in one season. There's another great reception. Jackson up to make the stop.
25 yards on the play. Marino doesn't care where he is on the field. Doesn't make any difference. He threw that one from his own 8-yard line. And now this running play by Wayne DiBartola gets the ball up to the 45-yard line. 14-7 is the score, in case you're just in from shopping. Pitt started out, first 2 possessions, rolled down the field, took them 2:40 to go the first time, 4:53 on the second one, 2 touchdown passes to Dwight Collins, but then the interception in the end zone, leading to a Nittany Lion drive that resulted in a score. 14-7, second down and 8. Swings it out to Collins again. Bangs heads at the 46-yard line with Roger Jackson. And they're going to call Chet Parlavecchio for a little extra.
Chester Lewis Parlavecchio. They will not let you hit him out of bounds.
Well, that was was a clean hit out of bounds. It's not a clean hit, a clear hit. There's no such thing as a clean hit out of bounds.
Well, you were saying it was a legal tackle. It was just out of bounds.
Jackie Sherrill has gone onto the field. What had happened was, apparently the Pitt team had been called for offside on the play. Therefore, we could not have the dead ball foul. Well, one thing about Jack Sherrill, he has really done a fantastic job. Let's listen to this.
Offsides, offense.
Tom Thammert is the official here in the white hat today, the referee. Sherrill, one player at Alabama. Now, following that, they chalked the ball up to the 45.
Dead ball, personal foul, defense. First down.
So it does carry weight.
So everybody got what was coming to them.
It has 35 yards of penalties. Penn State 15. That was their first. 10 minutes, 46 seconds to go in the first half. 14-7 is the score. And Brian Thomas just rams ahead to the 40-yard line. Walker Lee Ashley making the stop with Matt Bradley, number 86. Brian Thomas from Overland, Ohio. Fairly good-sized beef trust there. Colbert, Beto, Boris, Sams, and Fralick. Fralick's a freshman. Second down. 5 to go on the 40. Marino setting the team, leading 14-7. That's Collins again at the 25-yard line. Paul Langford making the stop along with what they call the hero of the defense, number 17, Harry Hamilton.
Marino just pecks on that defense. He reads it just beautifully, and he knows where his receivers are. He knows which one's open, and it's usually Dwight Collins because he goes to him quite frequently.
Number 17 there, as I call him, the hero. That's what, I guess, the designation that Joe Paterno puts on his rover or monster, sort of a linebacker safety.
He's the same cat. He just called him hero instead of monster and rover.
First and 10. Hand off to DiBartola, doesn't get but a yard, and Parlavecchio makes the stop on it. From Sherrill's point of view, we look out onto the field here at Pitt Stadium. Fantastic record.
Second down, 8, shy of the 23.
And of course, his team is bound for the Sugar Bowl engagement with the Georgia Bulldogs. Second down, 8 to go on the 24-yard line. Thrown just a little bit behind Dwight Collins.
You know what Coach Sherrill told me about that type of pass? Now, he had the receiver open, and he threw the ball behind him. But he said he's unflappable. He said that doesn't bother him one bit. He just shakes that off, shrugs it off, and goes right on with his game plan. He doesn't worry about the pass. He's looking forward to this next play. That did not bother Dan Marino.
Third down, and 8 to go for the Panthers, who are out in front at one point, 14-0. However, the Nittany Lions have come back. It's 14-7. Marker down, may have been too much time. Marino does take a lot of time and looking over the defense and calling the audibles at the line. A procedure penalty. Apparently somebody moved. Don't forget, at 3:45 Eastern today, it's Alabama against Auburn. There, Bryant could clinch the all-time winning record for coaches in that wild intrastate rivalry.
Dead ball, illegal procedure, offense.
Third down, 13. There's a look at what's happening later on ABC Sports Today. Right now, this is a honey of a ball game and a big third down for the Panthers. Leading 14-7, 8:45 to go in the first half. Once again, great protection. Pass is deflected and intercepted. Mark Robinson for the Nittany Lions is out of bounds at the 17-yard line. Julius Dawkins was down on the goal line. He took a terrific belt just as he caught the ball. It was deflected in the arms of the defender, Mark Robinson. And the Nittany Lions will have it on the 17. And I believe Dawkins is still down on the ground. They're looking at him.
Well, the interception did go to Robinson, but give the full marks to Jackson. You can see what a legal blow he delivered. He went through the receiver. Dawkins knocked the ball up in the air. This is a tremendous blow right here. He's going for the football, and it's all Jackson's interception as far as I'm concerned. The ball was bounced over to Robinson, and we still have Dawkins down on the ground. Julius Dawkins still down.
Leading receiver on the team with 15 touchdowns. Tops in the nation. Watch this hit by Jackson again. Boy, I tell you, it's remarkable.
Jackson has had himself quite a day so far with the interception in the end zone, which led to a touchdown, and here he comes, stops another touchdown drive by, at least in my opinion, causing the interception.
Well, he's up and at least conscious. So, time called here with 8:32 to go in the first half. We'll be back in a moment. Exception, his second of the year, is a sophomore from Silver Spring, Maryland. First and 10 for the Lions on the 17-yard line in their own territory, trailing 14-7 in the second quarter. Last time they got an interception, they converted it into a touchdown. Kurt Warner gets a couple of yards at most. Grenax and Sari in on the stop. Second down, about 8. First time that the Lions intercepted the ball in the end zone. They came out and they moved the ball 80 yards on the Panther defense. Now with this interception on a deflection at the 1-yard line, moved it out with a 2nd and 8 to go. Jackson in motion. Fake handoff, and Blackledge has lots of time, spirals it. It almost was intercepted on a deflection. Intended for Mike McCluskey, the tight end. No, Blackledge has good size, too. We're talking about 6'5" of Marino. He's 6'4", so he's got a good look at the defense.
He stands in there big and strong, and he's got a strong arm, too. Watch the good balance he had when he threw that ball. He threw it up high. McCluskey didn't have much of a chance to make the reception, though, because it was well defended.
Blackledge is 4 out of 8 for 57 yards. Third down and 8. Big rush. Throws a little screen pass off to John Williams. Not much of a screen to protect him, and Sunseri makes the stop at the 21-yard line. Al Sunseri, hometown product from Central Catholic High School here in Pittsburgh. So the Nittany Lions will have to kick it away as Giacomero is in with the wind to his back. His 3 kicks in the first quarter netted him 44 yards into the wind. He's having a good day. 14-7. The Nittany Lions are trailing, but they have proven one thing. Being down by 14, they proved they could come back. High floating kick coming down to Flynn. Falls on the midfield spot. So we have 6 minutes, 57 seconds to go in this first half. The Panthers will take the field. They have the lead by 7. Look, and taping the left angle of Al Wenglakowski, defensive left end of Pitt. He'll be replaced by Chris Dolan in the lineup, but right now, Pitt's on offense. First and 10, just short of midfield. Handoff goes to Brian Thomas, and he is hit by Leo Wisniewski, number 69, and Rich D'Amico, number 66. I'll tell you, the Penn State defense has all of a sudden found itself, as has the offense. Loss of about 3.5 yards on the play.
At the 46.
Bill Wallace has replaced Julius Dawkins in the lineup. Glad to see Dawkins walk off the field under his own power after that wallop that he took on the goal line. Fastball just a little low for Dwight Collins. Might have been hurried a little bit by Marino. Hasn't shown quite the sharpness that he had at the beginning of the game. Interceptions can kind of do that to you. Can't they gnaw at you a little?
Now, I think that might gnaw at him a little bit. Throwing an incompletion probably doesn't bother him near as much as those interceptions.
38th birthday today of Jackie Sherrill. Last year, he celebrated his 37th with a 14-9 win over the Nittany Lions. 6 minutes, 17 seconds to go in the first half. Ball on the 46-yard line with a 3rd and 14. Again, Marino looking over that defense. Sees only 3 men. Greg Gattuso got in there. Number 70. He was the hero, really, of last week's game against Notre Dame. A 3rd stringer from Pittsburgh who intercepted a pass against Notre Dame. And he just roared through there and grabbed the ball.
Well, the snap was fumbled from center. Marino didn't get a good clean snap. He pulled away from the center and left the ball on the ground. Gattuso saw the ball and goes under the center, buries, and comes up with the ball for Penn State.
How the complexion of a game can change. 1st and 10 on the 45, and that's exactly where it's going to stay. As Meade gets nothing except number 63, Dave Pazzulli. They even lost a yard back on the 46. 6 minutes and 7 seconds to go in this first half, and this is a typical slam-bang Pitt-Penn State game. Dolman has replaced Glenn Glikowski in the lineup as the defensive end, and now a penalty is going to be tacked on against the Panthers. And it's a whopper. 15 for a personal foul at the 31-yard line it goes to.
Dead ball, personal foul, defense, first down.
That's the 7th penalty against Pittsburgh, total of 55 yards. All right, 1st and 10 for the Nittany Lions. Blackledge looks over that defense, sees the 5-man front, sends Jackson in motion. Quick pitch to Warner. Has blocking. Turns the corner. Goes out of bounds at the 22-yard line, and Dan Short, number 29, chased him out. Just short of a first down by about a yard and a half. Placed right on the 23-yard line. Well, if you left the set when it was 14-0, you'll be surprised to know it is now 14-7, and Penn State is moving the football and kind of at the 23-yard line of the Panthers. Beautiful fake by Warner. Pass is thrown complete to Garrity. A marker is down at the 11-yard line. He caught the ball anyway. And unless it's offensive interference, it's going to be first down for the Nittany Lions at that spot. It is offensive interference.
Maybe we'll be able to pick up what happened. Maybe we can see what the officials saw at this spot. Warner made a tremendous fake into the line of scrimmage, to the line here.
Get an Emmy for that.
Well, the interference wasn't on Garrity. It must have been on the deep receiver.
Offensive pass interference, loss of down, offense.
That's one of the most punishing penalties in all of football.
I think the penalty might have been called on Jackson, who was running the deep route, running into the safety man, Flynn, and then Garrity came underneath him.
Time here is going to be called by the Nittany Lions. That forces them all the way back to the 37.5-yard line. Joe Paterno talking things over with Todd Blackledge, his sophomore quarterback. Called into action after the 4th game as a freshman a year ago, and he's been the starter ever since. 5:39 to go in the first half, and 15-yard penalty and loss of down has put the Nittany Lions back on the 37.5-yard line of Pitt. 3rd down and 17. They split the backs with Warner and Meade. Blackledge and intercepted by Flynn of Pitt. He goes out of bounds at the 31-yard line. Tom Flynn, a sophomore from Verona, Pennsylvania, got the tip pass, his 4th interception of the year, and Pitt breathes a little easier stopping the Lions.
Flynn is some kind of an athlete. He really roams that center field about as good as anyone you'd want. It was a deflected ball, and most deflected balls are intercepted. Flynn was standing right under it, saw no place to run, so just took it on out of bounds, saved a little lick.
Former high school quarterback, great. DiBartola finds the hole and gets 10 quick yards. Rich D'Amico making the stop on it.
Stop made by number 66, D'Amico.
Maybe close enough for a measurement. I believe they're going to bring the chains in. Don't forget, on ABC's NFL Monday Night Football, the Eagles against the Dolphins at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. That really ought to be an entertaining Monday night. Dolphins are 7-4-1 and lost a crucial game last week to the Jets. And there's the hero of the moment, young Tom Flynn. First down. You know, Darrell and I had an interesting experience yesterday. We had lunch in the cafeteria of the hospital with the team of Pittsburgh. Their regular food line was closed, and we had an opportunity to observe all these young men conversing with the doctors and the interns. Many of these fellas, by the way, are in the pre-med and pre-dental program.
Okay, number 31.
Not much there.
I was impressed too, Bill, with the poise that these young men have. But you know, Coach Jackie Sherrill just almost insists that they go to high school banquets in the area, that they get up and speak in front of people. And I think that's one of the best things you can do to quickly mature a young man, to get him to speak in front of a crowd. I admire Jackie Sherrill for having that type program.
Second down and 9. Marino calls John Brown, the tight end, to come in a little tighter, and then whips the ball up, and again it is off the fingertips of Bill Wallace, number 25, and Palavecchio couldn't quite get to it. Number 94.
Third down.
So that brings up a third down. I'm wondering this. Has the defense changed as far as concept is concerned, Darrell Royal, from the beginning of the game where Marino was so effective?
No, they're still doing the same thing that they did at the start of the ball game.
No seats available, so you just got to stand up and look over the wall of the stadium. There's DiBartola.
Okay, number 31.
This will be an all-time record since the end of World War II. And that stops the Panthers. And it'll bring up a 4th down as Marino comes to the sidelines, and Hepler will go in to do the punting. It's a good kick away. He was hit hard when he kicked the ball. The fans are raising a fuss. However, the referee, who was right there, apparently said no, there was no contact. And a storm of protest goes up. I don't know. It looked like he might have been hit.
Okay, we'll see here. We've got it on the replay. We'll see whether or not he got hit. I'd say whenever you have both legs knocked out from under you, you've been hit.
What's he got? Part of the goal post? Don't go away with that. No, it's just a great big piece of cardboard, I guess. 4:08 to go in the first half. The Lions take the shovel pass to the outside of John Williams, and Williams is sprawled out of bounds by Kranek, linebacker on the strong side.
Tim Lewis was in there to make a great tackle. You know, he said he likes to do 2 things. He likes to scuba dive, he likes to travel, and he likes to spend money. 10-4 on the spend money.
That's a good look at the comparison of the quarterbacks today. Marino was really looked like Clark Kent out there, who had just taken off his sport coat in the first part of this ball game. He just couldn't miss. Fired a couple of touchdown passes the first time they got their hands on the ball, but since that time, the Lions have just little by little cinched up the defense, and now they have the ball with 3:41 to go in the first half. Second down and 8. The ball on the 22-yard line. Bill's record against Pittsburgh. He had 10 in a row, at one point. Blackledge, a lot of time. Down the middle he goes. It is incomplete and almost caught. Mike McCluskey had that ball in his grasp. It squirted out and was almost covered before it hit the ground by a defender. Third down. McCluskey caught a big pass at the beginning of this quarter to set up the touchdown.
Excellent protection in there that Blackledge is receiving. He has plenty of time to pick up his receivers, and he threw a catchable pass. The ball could have possibly been caught by McCluskey.
Penn State is 0 for 5 in third down conversions. This is a 3rd and 8. Sideliner to Greg Garrity. Out of bounds he goes. Is it enough? I don't believe so. Right on the 30. It's going to be very, very close. I think it's going to be close enough to have to bring the chain in. As they place the ball down, I'm not so sure it isn't enough. Looks like the length of the football is over the 30-yard line.
They said bring the chain in from the far side of the field and measure it. We'll have a look. That was caught by Garrity, whose father played for Penn State, played under Joe Paterno, so he's now coached a player, and then later his son, Greg Garrity.
Joe was 16 years at Penn State as an assistant to Rip Engel.
Rip Engel, what a great name. One of the true gentlemen of the game.
First down for the Nittany Lions. First down at the 30. Joe Paterno wanting to tie this game up before halftime. Pitt leading 14-7. Sideliner, it is caught out of bounds. Stepping out of bounds, I should say, is Kenny Jackson. He caught it, then stepped out. So it will go for a completion of 9 yards, 2nd down and 1. Kenny Jackson, a sophomore from South River, New Jersey. Nothing would give him more pleasure than to beat these rascals from Pittsburgh. One of his deep friends of childhood days, Troy Hill, plays on the opposite side of the field today. Blackledge is 7 out of 14, 75 yards, 2nd down and 1. Blackledge from the 30, bumps short, throws long. He's got his man, Kenny Jackson. He's got the ball. He is sprawled to the ground at the 8-yard line. A beautiful pass to Kenny Jackson. 2 men covering, and they still couldn't cover that one.
Well, he had the defenders in the same position that he had a minute ago when the ball was underthrown. This time, Blackledge threw the ball far enough, and Kenny was able to run under it for the great reception. He had the defense beat earlier in the ball game. And what a game the Jackson brothers, Kenny and Roger, are having.
Tom Flynn was hurt on the play, barely hurt his leg. He's coming off the field, limping. And now the Nittany Lions of Penn State have a first and goal to go. 3:05 to go in the first half. They're trailing 14-7. Out to the right goes Kevin Bow. Out wide to the left comes Garrity. Trying to spread that defense. The backs go split. Tom Barr and Warner. Blackledge, a little jab step backwards, goes to the 1-yard line. Did he go in? He's in. Touchdown. Todd Blackledge, who scored the winning touchdown last week against Notre Dame with that little quarterback sneak. Had to go a farther distance this week, but he put it in.
A clever little quarterback draw. He just took a couple steps back like he's going to pass the ball. You can see here that there was a trap play. They trapped Pazuli, and he goes into the end zone for the touchdown by Blackledge.
And Franco could tie this ball game up. He's 32 out of 33. And we have a brand new ball game at 14 all. 2 minutes and 42 seconds to go in the first half. And there's the hero of the moment, Todd Blackledge, who has exhumed his team from being buried at 14-0.
That's a clever little goal line play they just ran there, Bill. It was a quarterback draw, but they trapped it off of it, and got excellent running room.
6 plays, 80 yards. It only took 1 minute and 26 seconds to go down the field. And Blackledge on that 8-yard run, followed by a 52-yard pass to Jackson.
Well, what do you say we just start all over? It's 14-14. Let's start again.
And we're going to do just that. Timmy Lewis, number 26, on the goal line, getting ready to receive the kick by Franco. Franco has just tied this ball game up. High floater, won't carry too far. Mark Bailey is hit solidly at the 14-yard line. Big smash by Stu McMunn, number 42. And it decked him right there. Everybody said it's going to be a close one, and it didn't look like it was going to be even remotely close when it began. 2 times Pitt got the ball. They just rifled it right into the end zone to Dwight Collins. Had a 14-0 lead. But that's all changed as the Lions have shown a great deal of spunk and roaring back, and it's all time. 1st and 10 on the 14-yard line for the Panthers. Marino pitching it out to Thomas. Makes the cut, goes to the 25, and is brought down on the 27-yard line by Bradley and Fritz. Number 86 and number 61. 13 yards on the play. Brian Thomas will be back next year. He's a junior from Overland, Ohio.
Quick pitch. And Thomas picks up a quick 13 yards. Well blocked.
1st and 10. Oh, the ball pops out, but they was blown dead, I believe, as Thomas got his nose right on the 32-yard line.
Guess who made that tackle again, Bill? It was Gattuso. He seems to make a lot of things happen. He's always around a lot of big plays. He tore the ball loose from him then. Of course, the whistle had blown, so it was not a fumble.
Marino looking things over. His team has seen a 14-0 lead just dwindle to 14-14. There was a marker apparently down on the play. 1 minute, 57 seconds to go in the first half. And the penalty will take the ball back to the 22. Let's hear Tom Thammer.
Holding, offense, first down.
Down reverts to 1. Again, they go to Thomas on the pitch. Spun out of bounds. That was Roger Jackson making the initial stop on him. Stops the clock, 1:47 to go. We'll have our Fireman's Fun flashback at halftime today. We'll also have a report on the Clemson matter. NCAA doing an investigation into the football program there, and it'll be explored a little more in detail at halftime. 1:47 to go. In the first half, it's 14-all. Ball is thrown way over the head of Dwight Collins as Hamilton was right behind him, and Marino saw that. He knows it's a dangerous area because that open lane is right to the end zone, so he just fired it high. Yes, it is cold today. Not apparent on the screen, but it is a rather raw day. Temperature in the lower 30s, but fortunately, there's been no really noticeable precipitation. Heavy rains the other night were the things that caused those splotches on the field because the tarpaulin blew off 50-mile-an-hour wind. Marino. Down the side he goes. It is incomplete, almost intercepted. Sprawling to the ground was Mark Robinson, who's already caught a deflected pass today. And that brings up a 4th down. Marino is 0 for 6 in his last throws. So Dave Hepler has gone in to do the punting. His first punt and only punt was 46 yards. This is almost going to be blocked. Oh, what a job he did in getting that ball away. And it's touched by Penn State and covered by Pitt. What an unusual play, and Hepler is hurt. The blitz was on. He saw he couldn't kick the ball. He wisely went to his left. Had he run it, he would have been destroyed. He managed to get enough room to get his leg into the ball. And Jackson is also hurt, who made the run.
Well, you know, some people will say, well, heck, they roughed the kicker there. But once you leave the pocket, now he becomes a ball carrier. You can see now he leaves. He has no protection. You can run into him, do whatever. He has no protection. The ball bounces off, and it's recovered by the Pitt Panthers.
We're taking a look at Dave Hepler, the kicker, and it's the right knee. Well, that's about the worst thing that can happen to a kicker.
You know,
Marino can kick, I should say that. He's the backup.
There's 1:25 seconds left on this, and there's plenty of time for them to score. Well, you can see he gets a tremendous blow. He probably has his leg planted. Oh, he comes right across the leg. Jackson did. It wasn't intentional to hurt anyone. Jackson was trying to block the kick, and he knew that he had no protection as a punter. And so Jackson came on across, trying to block the kick, but missed it. It was fumbled by Penn State and recovered by the Pittsburgh Panthers.
1:25 to go in the first half. The ball was fumbled by Kenny Jackson at the 41-yard line. Here's that maneuver again by Hepler. I'll tell you, this was really quick thinking. Great reaction, and how he even got the ball away is beyond me. He only got it away. He sailed it 35 yards.
You can see the blow there. Jackson coming right across his right leg.
Pat McQuaid was the man who gets credit for recovering the fumble, number 14 for Pitt. So we have 1:25 seconds to go in this first half. The score is tied at 14-all. Hepler, the punter, helped off the field, but Pitt has the ball after getting it on the fumble recovery. So here we go, the tie ball game. Marino looks over a three-man front. Now it becomes a 4. No pressure. He's got Bill Wallace for a first down at the 23-yard line. Bill Wallace playing in place of Julius Dawkins, who was shaken up on a previous play, now without a huddle. Marino looks to the side. Shouts out the signals. 1st and 10 on the 23. Clock moving, 1:14. Over the middle. He's got Brian Thomas, skids to a stop at the 15-yard line. Jackie Sherrill doesn't know it's cold.
He wants a timeout.
I think he does with a minute to go. Less now, I'm counting. Tight end moves in. John Brown. Marino goes over the middle. Thomas at the 5. 1st and goal to go, but there's a marker back on the 14-yard line. It may have been that the team did not get set. Somebody may have moved on the offensive line.
The tight end, who was out at the flank position, Brown, moved back into a tight position.
Personal foul.
Personal foul is called.
Targeted Chet Parlavecchio. That's no ordinary 5-yard penalty, if that signal is the one that is correct. Marino comes over to talk to Sherrill. But it is, moves the ball all the way back to the 27-yard line. Let's listen.
Personal foul. Offense. 2nd down.
47 seconds. It's 2nd down. The ball is on the 28-yard line. And time here is called by Pittsburgh with a score 14-14. One of those portable heaters down there that really is necessary on a day like today.
Especially when you don't have anything covering your legs up.
Maybe we can get a report from the sideline. They have put Hepler in a wheelchair on the sideline, and they are, I believe, going to wheel him into the locker room and x-ray that leg. He's right at the 50-yard marker as the wheelchair comes over and will come on this side at the track at the 50-yard line. Going over some cords. There he is. Now they may be concerned about a break. So Dave Hepler, I believe, is going to be out of action for the day, and that means the punting chores will fall to Dan Marino. Well, give credit to Hepler. I'll tell you this, he really did a fantastic job of avoiding the block kick and getting the ball away, which subsequently caused Pittsburgh to get it back after the fumble on the catch. 47 seconds to go. And the draw play works to Wayne DiBartolo to the 17-yard line before Rich D'Amico brings him down, and there is Greg Gattuso who came up with the ball, but I believe it had been blown dead. No, it hadn't. Gattuso gets his second fumble recovery of the day, and Penn State will take over the football.
I tell you, he's amazing at intercepting passes and recovering fumbles.
He's a third-string tackle.
That was a clever call. The draw play was a good call at that time. It looked like it set up at least the field goal, but they did knock him loose from the ball long before he hit the turf, and it was recovered by Gattuso.
Absolutely.
Number 70. He was knocked loose from the ball legitimately, no doubt about it.
Second fumble recovery for Gattuso, who had a pass interception to Fort Notre Dame last week at the end of the game. The stutter step by Kurt Warner puts him up to the 23-yard line. Sal Sunseri, number 66, I think you'll find down there somewhere cloose to the bottom. Clock moving, 25 seconds to go. It's been a great ball game so far. It started out like it was going to be a romp for the Panthers. They had a 14-0 lead, but the Nittany Lions have kept chewing away. And now it's all tied with 13 seconds and the clock moving. Backs go split. Meade on the right, Warner on the left. Out to Warner. Nice inside cut. Has the first down, but time is going to run out here in the first half. And just listen to this roar coming up from both sides. Brother, this is really a college football game that everybody appreciates. Now let's join our colleague, Steve Zabriskie, who has joined us today, and he has Jackie Sherrill with him.
Jackie, it appeared as if they got the momentum back from you after a great first quarter.
Well, certainly, we turned the 2 interceptions and, turnovers. And when you have a turnover, things are going to happen. And we had the 2 turnovers with the interception and the fumble, and it did. After the turnover, they came back and scored with it. And the other turnover, they got field position. But, it's that half's over with. We can't forget about that. We'll forget about that one and go about the next one.
It appeared as if your game plan was working perfectly.
Well, we're spreading them out. We felt like we could spread them out. There's some things we're going to have to adjust by. They're playing this real deep, and we're going to have to quit trying to throw the ball so deep and go ahead and throw the ball back underneath.
What kind of changes do you anticipate Coach Paterno making?
Well, I don't think they'll change anything. They got to stay with what they're doing because they've been kind of successful with it.
Here, as the number 1 ranked team in the nation, Pittsburgh is getting a strong challenge. This Pitt-Penn State game is being brought to you by Texaco, who also brings you quality. Things started off very explosively with Dan Marino, the quarterback of Pittsburgh, and his rifle-like arm finding the arms of Dwight Collins. This in the first quarter.
Collins positions himself in the little slot between the defensive safety and the left corner man, and with the strong arm of Marino, it's able to be completed for the touchdown. Here he does the same thing over to the left. He goes just inside the left corner, and Marino drives the ball before the safety man has a chance to overlap. He catches the ball in the end zone for another TD.
But then the momentum began to change. Marino was back to pass and threw about a 50-yard bomb toward the end zone. And it was Roger Jackson, a defensive back of Penn State, who came up with a miraculous interception.
A diving interception, and you can see his right knee hit right there. And it is an interception, and from that point, they take it 80 yards for the score to get back into the ball game, 14-7.
Right, Mike Meade took it in on the score, and then Blackledge himself took it on a quarterback draw following another interception, and he took it in the final 8 yards for the touchdown. This was set up on a 52-yard pass from Blackledge to Kenny Jackson. And so that's the way it is at halftime. 14-14. Penn State won the flip to begin the game and took the football. That means that Pitt will have its option here, and I rather imagine the Panthers want to get the ball very, very quickly to begin this third quarter. And so we'll be back with the kickoff of the second half in this big one between Penn State. One ranked team in the nation. Pittsburgh is getting a strong challenge. This Pitt-Penn State game is being brought to you by Texaco, who also brings you quality. Things started off very explosively with Dan Marino, the quarterback of Pittsburgh, and his rifle-like arms finding the arms of Dwight Collins. This in the first quarter.
Collins positions himself in the little slot between the defensive safety and the left corner man, and with the strong arm of Marino, it's able to be completed for the touchdown. Here he does the same thing over to the left. He goes just inside the left corner, and Marino drives the ball before the safety man has a chance to overlap. He catches the ball in the end zone for another TD.
But then the momentum began to change. Marino was back to pass and threw about a 50-yard bomb toward the end zone. And it was Roger Jackson, a defensive back of Penn State, who came up with a miraculous interception.
A diving interception, and you can see his right knee hit right there. And it is an interception, and from that point, they take it 80 yards for the score to get back into the ball game, 14-7.
Right, Mike Meade took it in on the score, and then Blackledge himself took it on a quarterback draw following another interception, and he took it in the final 8 yards for the touchdown. This was set up on a 52-yard pass from Blackledge to Kenny Jackson. And so that's the way it is at halftime. 14-14. Penn State won the flip to begin the game and took the football. That means that Pitt will have its option here, and I rather imagine the Panthers want to get the ball very, very quickly to begin this third quarter. And so we'll be back with the kickoff of the second half in this big one between Penn State and Pitt right now, whose house is not more than a 10-minute walk from the Pitt Stadium, warming up to begin this second half of play. He's a junior who will return next year. He's already made one All-American team this year. Now let's go down to Steve Zabriskie, who has Joe Paterno.
Thank you, Bill. Joe, there was a big momentum shift there in the second quarter. What kinds of things did you do to make the adjustments against Marino's passing?
Well, we haven't done much. He's doing an awfully good job. He's a great football player, and they're playing a great game. You you got to play for a couple of interceptions when a guy puts the ball in the air that much. And we got a couple of breaks. They got a couple of breaks, and they're just two good football teams going at each other. And now we got 30 minutes to go.
You're dropping a lot of people off against him and not rushing a lot. Do you anticipate any changes there?
Well, we're going to change up some. We have a plan for the second half, because you can't let him look at the same thing all day. He gets rid of that ball so quickly. He's really awfully good. We're just going to hang in there and try to make some things happen for ourselves offensively and let it all hang out.
All right, Joe, good luck. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.